I'm David. Tony's asked me to deal with a few questions, which she hopes may be able to answer some of your questions. So when she's ready, I will start answering. Well, the Bank of England meet every few weeks to decide on interest rates.
I think next one is tomorrow. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So the Monetary Policy Committee will meet tomorrow. My view is that they will not cut rates yet. Inflation is still at 3.4%. Great news, it's come down, but it's still considerably higher than the government target, which is 2%. So it's too early to start seeing rate reductions. My own feeling is that you will probably start to see rates come down slightly around the middle of the year, maybe May, maybe June, and you'll start to see falls then. But those falls are only likely to be small, and it will probably be 0.25% at a time. This, I believe, will be gradual over the next 12 months because the announcement this morning was that they anticipate that the inflation rate will hit the government target of 2% again by about April of next year. So I do expect rates to continue coming down gradually for the next 12 months. Probably, though, the lowest, in my view, that they will go will be the 3 to 3.5% mark. I don't think they're going to be below that.
But your prediction is actually for the next year, like
it'll be over the next year.
Early spring, probably.
Yeah, it will be gradual, but by this time next year, I would like to think we'll be at about 3 to 3.5%. Realistically, we're never going to go back to the 1% that we've been used to.
Yeah, everybody was happy with that, despite the fact that
everybody loved it. We all got obsessed with cheap money. But that, in fairness, is what has caused a lot of the problems with inflation, because money was so cheap to borrow. Everybody was borrowing like mad and buying all sorts of things, which was forcing prices up.
But now it has to pay off anyway.
But now we all have to pay the price for it. But there are exceptional reasons why we had such low rates. Partly it was in response to 2008, the global financial crisis. And just as we were ready, really, after that, to start putting rates up again, before you know it, we suddenly have COVID, and then we have the war in Ukraine, all of which don't help.
All these factors.
So for all those reasons, rates, frankly, were held too low for too long, which is why now suddenly we're in for a very short, sharp, painful shock. But I think from next couple of months onwards, we will start to see rates come down again.
That's really good news, actually, and for all the Bulgarian community and the Bulgarians who is living in not just the West Midlands, that's in UK, will be the good news. The thing is, because most of the people, especially the students and some of our people, they just renting the houses or flats. Why, obviously, the inflation is going down?
A very basic answer to that is
what do you want?
Sort of looking at that the wrong way round, because inflation doesn't cause rents to rise. It's rising rents and rising other prices that cause inflation. So it's actually the other way around. Rent is like any other commodity. It's like petrol, food, whatever. It is entirely a function of supply and demand. It is as simple as that. So over the last couple of years, with rapidly increasing interest rates, demand for rented accommodation has increased hugely. Basically, because rates are now so high, an awful lot of people who were just about to buy their house or a flat no longer can afford to. So they are forced to rent. So demand has increased. At the same time, supply has reduced. This is, again, largely a function of higher mortgage rates. An awful lot of private landlords who are doing buy-to-lets, frankly, can no longer afford to pay the new mortgage.
New mortgages,
the rent isn't even covering their interest bill, and landlords are selling quite fast. There are a number of other reasons as well, various government changes that have happened over the last 5 years or so, which have meant, for a private landlord's point of view, have meant owning property is far less attractive. Back in about 2015-16, the government introduced an additional 3% stamp duty service charge on buy-to-lets.
Who is affecting the second home owners, actually.
Second home owners and buy-to-lets, They also took away tax relief on your mortgage interest. That just disappeared over 2 years. So a lot of investors were able to claim all investors were able to claim their interest against tax, or to claim tax relief against their interest. That's gone. And also, it hasn't quite come in yet, but we're almost there. There are all sorts of new government controls coming in, which will basically put a control on the amount of rent that people can charge, and also, more importantly for many landlords, it will put a control over whether or not you can obtain possession. If you
Possession.
decide you want to sell, you can't necessarily get your tenants out and sell with vacant possession. So if you put all of those factors together, it's quite scary. Apparently over 300,000 previously buy-to-let houses and flats have been sold
So quick.
over the last 5 years.
Mhm.
That's 300,000 houses and flats have gone out
Just
of-
to avoid this
out of
further
rented
changes.
stock,
Mhm, mhm.
purely reflect because of all of those changes.
Yeah.
So, on the supply side, that's coming down dramatically, and for the reasons we said about people not being able to afford mortgages to buy, the demand side has gone up.
Going
So
up.
it's the demand and supply calculation that's creating the increase in rents.
All
It's
right,
not inflation. It's
Creates.
actually the increase in rents is causing inflation.
Causing inflation. I think that's absolutely brilliant, Dave. And thank you very much indeed for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.